First of all, I made these slides myself. It's not, not yet. And, that was my previous title, but obviously, I would like to take a more positive tone. Like we can obviously harvest some of the latest technology, benefit ourselves as well. Both sides, professors and students. And a little bit about myself, like I'm going to talk about coding because I mainly teach data analytics, right? So coding, Python in particular, as well as my many colleagues in the department. So they're teaching Python, they're teaching Excel, or related coding as well. I think it's also applicable to any other, tech-oriented courses or modules. And at the same time, I'm DOS for the business analytics course. So for today, that was a little bit reflective notes. So back in January earlier this year, right? So I think that was in the residential workshop with the apprenticeship, the program we're running there. I was doing a very quick survey, with those apprentices. Roughly, I would say 20% of people were aware of that, and I was very much hesitant, like in terms of telling people, because I started to teach my Python module from that time, right? So it's better to hide it, right? So because my assessment pattern is going to be still a report, so I want that to be a little bit more like of a secret. So maybe later I'll adjust, right? But several weeks later. Just like Debbie said, ultimately, we love it, we embrace it. It's a celebration of freedom, right? So we look at what we can do about it. And also at the same time, we realize that, by student emails, right? So when you see, I think, a lot of colleagues will echo with my observation, like when you see the, students, they forgot to take off the certainly, right? Something like going on as the response, or you see that suddenly they write so long emails, much longer than before. You see there's something going on, right? And for my approach, like a little bit more specific, right? So not teaching in general, but more on the coding. So can AI be a coding tutor, right? So taking some of the job, take some responsibilities off our shoulders. I just saw finals just came in, so it will be good news for us if we can allocate some RAM, right, to AI rather than people. The industry news, of course, what happened in reality would be a very positive yes, because for example, I think many of you might have heard about this already. So Harvard CS 50, which is a very famous entry-level computer science course, they are actually using AI, using GPT model, and to be the coach, okay, to be the teaching assistant. Same as Khan Academy, an online platform, right? So they are having this in-place chat bot, right? When you have this particular concept or this particular exercise, they can have the in-place assistance built in. So that's very much already deployed. And Coursera, I think, again, many of us already know about this platform. And they were talking about to having new products and features and so on, AI powered. A bit closer to our practice, maybe Moodle. Yeah, I checked, this is back in April, they were opening this discussion to anybody who would like to see, for example, large language models, right? Interestingly, they put it like the most promising form of AI to be integrated in Moodle or platform. Once that's the case, maybe in Moodle, we can have not only in student assistance, features, maybe, just early in the break, talking to colleagues, maybe AI is going to help us to mark, right, to give feedback as well. So kind of it's undergoing. And back to my topic, so coding, what I'm going to show you is this scenario, which is about the, different tasks, you can have ChatGPT, support you, right? So as a student, you can learn from some very basic things. For example, for Python, let me step over here. So basically, what you can do is that you first ask, give me some basics about Python, and then immediately it generates a whole lot of coding. Not too much, but at a certain point it stops, but it shows you some of the most basic things you can do. And then I go about and say, please create a study plan for me, okay? So assuming that I'm totally new here, and then very quickly it can tell me, week one, week by week, what would be the subjects, like the, knowledge points, good for us. And I'm not happy yet. I'm still going to input something additional, which is, there you go. Yeah. So what if I think my focus is something different? My focus is business analytics, right? So that was generated maybe more for computer science background. And then it will just take this, newly added information on board and give me more tailored towards data, for example, data analysis with pandas. If you guys know anything about like Python, like this is the big module we use to manipulate data to have those basic ideas about the process, like data process and modeling. So that's very basic, but already very quickly it can give you structure, and it can give you a study plan, and it can give you what would be the major concepts or even modules within Python you need to know. And debugging, that's pretty much what we do. Like if we are in a seminar, right? So pretty much we are helping out with that. So take this as an example. So this is one of the most frequently asked questions in my seminar, which is they came across this error message, which is no such file or directory. So what happens is like I'm just trying to read a CSV file, into the environment. But obviously, it could have a lot of reasons behind it. But what I do is that, here again, so let me, I prepare a little bit of prompt, right, saying that that's my coding, and that's the error message I have, and I copy that and paste it over, okay? And then it will help me diagnose this situation. So previously, the speaker is already talking about a prompt engineering, right? So if you do something even very basic like this, of course there's a whole lot of techniques you can use, formatting and so on. It can give you a lot of ideas for what might be wrong. So including maybe you don't have the right directory being used, or maybe the file name is misspelled, and so on. So if you read through this, this will be very, very good, very, very handy for students to find a clue for what is going to be done to correct that error message. And last but not least, I hear people talking about like using ChatGPT as Google, right? So for coding, a lot of times we need the definitions or user cases of functions, okay? So traditional way for us, again, sorry, about this for people who are not using coding or Python. We typically go to Google and search for the documentary, right? And then what often we end up with something like website like Stack Overflow, or go to the official documentation websites. But with ChatGPT in place, it's very, very handy, very fast. Like if you just type in, for instance, this is about like what are the major things under pandas, which is the same guy I talked about earlier for data manipulation. Then it gives you a whole lot of information about what it can do, like the major ones. And then I say, what about this one? This is an interesting one. If I say I want to learn more about this, can you give me an example? And then it will, of course, be more tailored in terms of giving out the response and give me this example. I think anyone who has played with ChatGPT before in terms of any coding programming, it's very handy to copy the code out and paste over and give a go, right? So you can try that. So these are very, very quick demo for using ChatGPT. All of these, like, let's say the major tasks or the parts we spend most of the time with in the seminars can be done with AI tools like ChatGPT. Something I would like to also talk about is maybe too much of ChatGPT, right? So Bard, which is the AI tool, like the sort of ChatGPT equivalent provided by Google, is also very, very powerful, but in some cases even more convenient. For example, in this case, I want to learn about how to visualize, let's say, learn about bar plots. And then similarly, if you just put the prompt in, it will generate a response for you. But what's really handy is that it can help you decide which format you want to export. And then if you go there, there's an option for you to open this in Colab, which is the platform I'm using for my students. So that they are using this Colab, as long as you have a Google account, you can access this resource and run the coding online, right, in the cloud. And this is, I think, is the most popular choice across universities, like learning Python coding. And then you can use this ready-made code and run over there in the Colab and generate this nice bar plot very quickly. Okay, so again, these are very, very basic. I don't want to, this is a teaching day event. I don't want to make it very technical, but already with a very, very quick introduction to your students, they will be able to, know where to go or what kind of prompts they can provide and to enjoy the benefits of using AI. Okay, so this is very open-ended, right? So this is a very big debate. I'm not going to pretend, we can conclude very quickly, what we can do with ChatGPT, with Bard, with those tools. But some of the very rough, thoughts around the situation of a seminar room, right? So what we can have, if we have powerful tools like ChatGPT around teaching people coding in a seminar situation. So of course, already colleagues mentioned earlier, we have, let's say not ChatGPT replacing our job, but having a new friend. But each of us, having this, different pros or advantages in the sense that ChatGPT is going to give students access 24/7, something we would not be able to do. Whereas we can only have this contact hours, of course, or emails or the actual time. But more or less, we can combine these resources. On the other hand, I think we can keep talking about what are the limitations of ChatGPT or AI models. But let's consider that they are more or less on the technical side. It would be nice, for example, personally, to have them to help me answer questions like students they may have, and also to debug, right? So I don't have to go there myself. Let's say, these are the possible reasons why you cannot upload the CSV and read that data. And at the same time, I think it's very valuable for us to retain this, human touch, human care, so that I think a big advantage of, having AI integrated in your teaching scenario is that you are freed up. You can use your, energy, your attention to something maybe more useful. For example, you can prioritize different tasks. You can give even more personalized, feedback or attention to your students. And finally, at this point, these tools are driven by prompt, right? So they are driven by how you ask questions. That's why people say now the paradigm is shifted, from getting the answers to asking the right questions, right? So they are driven by how you ask. And that's why also industry discussions about how to get the best prompt to generate the best results. Whereas us, still human teachers, we should retain this part of purpose, right? So individually, they might have different experience or interaction with ChatGPT, with Bard, but collectively, we need to give them a purpose, right? We give them checking points, like what are these tools or skills going to be useful for their future development. So just for fun, just to wrap up, it's difficult to say, this is the A, B, C, and D, we should go after having this tool. But if you wonder how our system will look like in 10 years, that's it. So just, again, that's easily generated by having this prompt. If I add a little bit more robots, this is the future we are going to embrace. And I hope, me myself working in this area, of course, very excited. And I cannot deny the challenges or all the difficulties we can also have, in terms of teaching. But hopefully everyone can enjoy and experience and use it.